Welcome back, friends and scoundrels, to Horror in the Hills. I'm Bran.
Sarah. Robbie.
And, let me adjust that. This is Movies with My Monsters, where I watch a scary movie with my kids, and then we talk about it afterwards. So what did we watch today?
I don't know.
Host? Yes, Host. Released in 2020. Want to summarize it?
A couple of friends are doing a reception, was it?
A what?
Reception?
Seance.
Seance. We're doing a seance over Zoom, and one of them accidentally invites a demon.
Spoiler. And things go crazy?
Yeah. And it's super short.
Not super short, but it's only about an hour. Which is one of the reasons why we're doing this. House cleaning, I guess, real quick. So, we got behind in our normal schedule, and I decided to watch this and another short movie, Freaks. So, we're going to disrupt the schedule a little bit, and then we'll get on track with Killer Clowns and then Scream, and then throw in some other stuff in there. Also, I did start a Twitter, but it's not for anything major. It's just for quick communications with the channel, because I'm sure you've noticed by now that things are a little bit off. So the Twitter's just there for quick, easy, hey, this is what's going on and the reason why, and yeah. So, any initial thoughts? Either of you?
I feel like this and Horrible Histories, Paranormal Activity were both equally as scary, but in their own way. I do like that you can physically see things, like the mask at Emma's house.
Yeah, well, the mask wasn't actually there, though. That was a filter through the program. So, you guys use Zoom for school, right?
Yeah.
Did anybody do anything like that?
No.
Your teachers or anybody trying to have fun?
No.
Because, Mommy?
Yep.
You can do filters like you do on Instagram with Zoom, can't you?
I would assume so.
I believe you can. I don't know. I'm not real familiar with Zoom. I've never used it. But I believe, like with Instagram and some of the other things, you can do where you've used them before on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought it was actually real, and they just thought it was a filter, because she reached out to touch it.
Well, maybe, I suppose, because that's a good point. Or maybe she was just saying it on her screen. Could be. I don't know. It's not real clear. Anything else?
I do still think Paranormal Activities might be my favorite, because I like that there's a lot more story to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good one, I think, because as James and Chelsea talked about briefly in one of their podcasts, that's how I became interested in this movie. It illustrates that you don't have to have a really long movie to be effective. Because this movie was effective, right?
Yeah.
Did it scare the crap out of you?
Yeah.
I wanted you guys to watch it because it got me a little bit. And I was only half paying attention while I was painting minis. So.
And like you said in a couple of episodes, like our first episode, not a lot of things get you.
No. I don't say that often. Is that your initial thoughts?
Yeah.
Robbie? You got some thoughts?
One thought. This is my least favorite scary movie.
Why?
I had to leave the room for most of it because it was super scary.
And it didn't even really get to the scary part. So it's probably safe to say that the paranormal type stuff is probably the most scary for you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know what's gonna happen because I can't see the entity.
So, is it because there's very little setup for it? So, going on that, by the end, Sarah, was there some decent setup for some things that were coming?
Yeah, I think so, like with the mask.
So once it got going, it might not have been as bad because you can kind of predict things.
Yeah. I don't like that there was a lot of blood in it.
We'll get to that. Anyways.
Nothing else except for one question.
Okay.
Did Haley's death involve the hockey sticks?
We don't know what Haley's death included. Do we?
Nope.
Spoiler part. Why don't we know what how Haley's death went?
The Zoom meeting ended. So the movie ended.
So Haley was one of the last ones to go. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Her and Gemma were the last two. What do you think happened? And don't worry, we're gonna get to the spoiler here in a minute. Because Robbie was out of the room, I wanna explore this a little bit.
Are you talking about just Haley and Gemma?
For right now, yes.
Who was Gemma again? The person who made up Jack and invited the demon.
She was the one wearing the white sweater and had glasses on.
Okay.
And black hair.
I think Gemma's head got cracked open because of the story she made up. Yeah. And
because her and Haley were together at the end. She ran over to Haley's place.
Was one of the hockey sticks, and Haley got beat up with a hockey stick.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We don't know what happened. What actually happened there?
They kept getting closer and trying to see what happened with the light of Haley's camera, because the lights went out. Mm-hmm. And as they got closer to the kitchen, a monster jumped out.
And then the Zoom call ended. So we literally don't know what happened. So, let's continue exploring this, Robbie. You were sitting in the other room. At what point did you leave?
I don't know. A minute, maybe two, maybe a minute and a half after Haley was dragged over to the wall.
Okay, so that was like one of the very first scary things, right?
Yeah.
And then you turned around, face away from the TV,
yeah,
and went in the other room. Now, you were still really scared in the other room, right? You kept scooting as far away as you could. It's okay. Was it part of that because of how loud it was?
Yes.
Okay. I did turn it down. Did that help a little bit?
A little bit.
All right. Now for the real fun question. What kind of stuff do you think was happening? And it doesn't have to be in any particular order, I just want to know if you were imagining anything and if that was keeping the scariness going for you.
I think that Teddy's... Well, I knew Teddy's his music box was on because I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw this gray monster and it looked like it was blind, so...
It was going like this, right? Something like that?
No, its eyes were just white.
Oh, because it looked like it was holding, something like this, right?
I don't remember.
It had its hands over its face. But I mean, it could have just been white. Anyways, that's irrelevant.
And...
So you did come back into the room a couple times.
Yeah, and I don't really know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Were you trying not to think about it too much, or?
Yeah.
That's fair. So you did come back in a couple of times. What encouraged you to come back into the room?
I wanted to see what the entity looked like.
Do you think we actually kind of know what it looked like, or?
No, because there were a couple different monsters. Like there was the stockings with the shoes up in the attic, and the mask, which could have been real, could have just been a filter.
Mm-hmm. And there's a hanging body in Haley's room. Do you remember seeing that?
No.
We didn't really see it too well. It's one of the first times she uses the camera because she hears it and she sees it, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes and she takes a picture of it, and then you can barely see it on the photograph before she
yeah.
drops it. Did you see that part? Were you in the room still? No, I think you were.
No, I was in the room.
Were you turned around?
No.
So you saw that part?
I might have been turned around and then the very end monster. But
And the one that you
turning
saw
my
with
head around.
Teddy?
Did you see anybody's death hit? I saw the one death where she was lifted up into the air.
Was Teddy?
Yeah.
Teddy's girlfriend, Jenny, I think. Her name was? I don't know.
Jenny, I think.
Jenny, same difference. What happened to her?
She was lifted up in the air over the pool, choked, and then dropped into the pool. And at the beginning, she was putting her feet in the pool.
So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. What of the stuff that you did see, what was the scariest part for you?
The part with the blind monster.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, do you guys remember yesterday when I was in the middle of painting minis and I said, Jesus Christ, what the?
Yeah. No, I don't remember that.
I was only half paying attention to what was going on the screen because I was painting minis. And I went back for it and it scared me.
What scene was it?
Where Teddy's going through the house or the garage or whatever, and the demon face appears out of nowhere and then goes away.
I remember seeing like a rope in the garage.
It was a little bit before that. Was that before the music or after? I don't remember offhand.
Before, I think.
Yeah, because it's when he has the flashlight still, before the flashlight burns out.
And then he gets out his lighter.
So, did you stick around for all of Teddy's?
No.
So what do you think happened to Teddy?
I think now that I know that there was a rope, he was hung by a rope.
Nope. Alright, so, for me watching it yesterday, I didn't see how much of that happened. I just saw that he kind of fell, and then I went back to painting the minis, and I heard him screaming. So that was part of what enticed me to want to watch this with you guys today. Because I thought there was a little bit more letting your imagination go, right? So, the power of not showing. And I wanted to explore some of that stuff with you. So, it's kind of fortuitous that you left the room anyways. Because it still gave us that opportunity. Sarah?
That's the scariest part?
Sure.
What did you mean?
So, what was the scariest part for you?
I'm not sure. I forget where I jumped.
You jumped once at the end. I think it has more to do with where you hid your face.
Probably one of the scenes with blood, like when Radina gets thrown up on the ceiling, or when we see Caroline smashing her face into the computer.
Right?
And
that's one of the scenes that gets to me because it's, I don't know what it is about that type of body horror type stuff, but it gets to me.
Or Teddy burning.
Alright, so pick one.
Caroline, I think.
I would have to go with that too, even though there are a couple things, well, it didn't get me this time, but the end scene got me a little bit this time again. When, that final camera flash, when the demon jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do you have any other thoughts before I start pushing the conversation a little bit?
No.
So, how did I want to word it earlier? How do you think the atmosphere was set up for this movie?
I'm not sure.
And this was all set up before you left, so.
I've got it. Selene leaving, maybe? Because then she's not there to guide them and they start freaking out.
That's more of kind of a plot thing. Atmosphere, like, what are some of the things that they have to do in order to, even to set up the atmosphere for the seance? Because they go hand in hand. They have to turn their lights off in their rooms.
Yeah.
They light their candles.
They have to close their eyes so they can't see anything going on around them.
That's that way they can focus in the moment. That doesn't have to do anything with the overall. But that darkness and limited light, and then you have some claustrophobic moments, like with Emma, right? When she's under her blanket.
Yeah.
So all you see is her face and then the gray background.
Yeah.
And then Teddy, when he's got the flashlight, you can only see that little circle of light. So things like that. Is there a lot of background sound and noise? Other than, I mean, musically and stuff like that.
No. Only the music that Celine turns on.
And that's for their ambiance in the moment. But this is a found footage film, and it's really difficult to have that background music, the scoring music, like you do in a lot of other films. Because it pulls you out of that realistic found footage feel. So, are there some things that you noticed just in the general editing that were interesting?
What do you mean?
So the way the movie was put together and things they did to set it up.
I noticed that it's going from gallery view to where it's just the one person and it changes occasionally.
So that's something else with the atmosphere too, right?
Yeah.
Because especially towards the end, it'll have like all 5 or 6 of them, and then it'll just have 2 in the gallery view, and then sometimes it'll have 5, sometimes it'll only have 4. And did you notice how it kept changing like that? So you didn't know what was going on. It made this very confusing display to follow. But more specifically, what I was talking about is like the beginning, how it shows Haley setting up her computer, getting it ready, and opening Zoom and getting things ready for the call.
Yeah.
Right? And then at the end, the initial end credits is kind of like it's got a window and it's participants, and then it has people's names and who they played or what they did. I don't know if you noticed.
I just saw the participants. I didn't read any of the names.
I didn't read a whole lot either, but I did notice like lighting coordinator and this person did, like, because that was the only time I really paid attention. And then it went to normal credits.
I also noticed.
Oh. Go ahead.
That there was like the background, but then in the middle of the screen when it was just one person, there was like a lighter circle, then a slightly darker, then a really dark circle.
You mean brighter?
Yeah.
Circle? Like where the light was? Or are you talking about something else?
It was just a blur in the middle of the screen, and there was a light gray on the outside, dark gray, and then black.
No. Was that on a particular person, or?
I think I saw it mostly with Haley.
I don't know.
For her bedroom. In her bedroom.
Oh. That might have just been the lighting of the TV and stuff.
Yeah.
No, the other thing that I noticed that kept it in this almost like we're participants too is, so the movie's an hour long, right?
Yeah.
And with Zoom, you only get so much time with the free trial, right?
Yeah.
But at the 10-minute left mark, did you notice that it popped up the screen and told you there's 10 minutes left of your call?
Yeah.
That was another one of those things that I'm like, that's just one of those paying attention to detail, nice little touch things. Let's see here. Thought I had another question offhand. Is there anything you can think of offhand that you want to talk about real quick?
No.
Robbie?
No.
Oh, the setup of things within the movie. Since you like to talk about setup so much.
I don't think there was a lot of setup other than the mask.
There was tons of setup. So, I think this was a little bit forced. I think it would have been a little bit better for Haley to pull out the camera later on when she was looking for a light source or something. Or when she was seeing the thing. But she pulls the camera out right away. And that's where I feel like it's forced. He's like, look at this thing. I brought this out for us to share this experience that we're not actually together for. Because normally you would take a picture, but she has to take a picture of a computer screen of everybody participating. So that gives us the camera for when she goes to take the picture the first time. And then for later on in the film, when they use it as a light source for the noises at the end of the movie, you have Caroline's screensaver thing, or her background thing.
Oh yeah. Like the gif of her walking into the room.
Well, it's a little video, yeah. But it confuses everybody at first because they think it's actually her. And not paying attention, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Because I didn't know that had been done before or earlier. And that was yesterday. I caught it today. Let's see here. What else was there? Radina's boyfriend going into the bathroom. And then he disappears. Let's see here. Oh, the biggest setup of all. What did we notice about most of the kills? Or most of the harassment?
It was pushing things around and the cupboards in the kitchen exploding.
More specifically with people.
They got thrown around.
There was also a lot of hanging. And what was part of Gemma's story?
Her head getting smashed open.
She smacked her head, yes, and cracked it open, but specifically with Jack.
Her getting lifted up.
It might have been hard to tell because she was fake crying at the time. He hanged himself at some point after her incident. It's not clear, it's not really relevant, he hanged himself. So that's why you have the feet in the attic, because it's a person who hung themselves. And then the picture from Haley's room is a person who hung themselves.
And the rope in the garage.
The rope in the garage with Teddy, Jenny. Doesn't Emma get lifted up at some point?
Somebody else does. Radina, I think. Maybe.
So does Emma. She gets choked. It's her first major encounter before she runs back into her room and hides under a blanket.
Yeah.
So she gets hung, essentially. What else? Radina gets lifted. Emma gets lifted again later and dropped on the picnic bench. So that's an ongoing thing. That's probably a person. Well, I don't know about probably, but it's very likely that it could be a personal thing for the director. Maybe they knew somebody that had done that, or maybe it's something that just scares them. I don't know for sure. I haven't looked into it at all because we literally just watched this, and I'm just now thinking of it. This wouldn't really be a theme. That'd be more of a motif, wouldn't it? Woman?
What?
The hanging? With it happening so much, because it doesn't really say anything, so it's more of a motif, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see here. We were talking about things that are set up.
The closet.
The closet reoccurs.
With the ironing board that falls
Well,
down.
and that's set up right from the beginning of the movie, too, isn't it?
Yeah, when she's setting her computer up.
So, Gemma's outside throwing pebbles or sticks or something at her window.
Yeah.
And she's not sure what's going on. And then a bunch of stuff falls out of her closet.
Yeah.
And then people keep going. Haley goes to the closet a couple more times.
Yeah, and at one point the ironing board falls over.
And that's at the end after Gemma gets there. Because Gemma's the one who opens it, looking for Haley. Or just seeing what's going on, period.
Yeah.
The chair is a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit that's set up. So the movie did a pretty good job with that. And people losing connection and dropping off and whatnot. I don't know. Let's see here. What was your favorite thing?
I like that there's some physical things that we can see in this one, other than Paranormal Activity.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Like the monsters.
Okay. So you like actually being able to see the monster instead
Yeah.
of just... Why is that?
Because it looks really creepy.
Yeah.
And to know that something that looks like that is chasing after you. Or them, in our case.
Yeah. The little bit that you saw, Robbie, did you have a favorite part?
My favorite part is when,
It's okay if you don't have one, since you didn't watch all of it. I'll give you a pass.
when Teddy says something about doing a big boy thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Going back to set up the head cracking open with Gemma, what happens to her when she gets to Haley's apartment?
A bottle gets thrown at her head.
And cracks it open. So it did pay off. So that might be one of my favorite things. Like almost everything that's set up or done in the movie pays itself off for the most part. There might be a couple things that I missed. I don't know. I think because it was shorter, because it's only like an hour long, it's a lot easier to keep it contained and for things to pay off. So it'd be nice if they would lower the standards for feature films going forward. And if a movie only needs to be a half hour, or an hour, let it only be an hour. Sometimes the story doesn't need to be an hour and a half long. I think the standard is 80 minutes is the shortest a runtime can be for a feature film, which is why most of your movies end up being about 90 minutes or so, or longer.
What's the difference between a feature film and a movie?
They're the same thing.
Oh.
Just a movie's more general. Feature film, like I said, has very specific guidelines and can be released in theaters. But with shorter runtimes, you'd be able to show more movies too, or show a movie more frequently. Like the budget for this was probably a few $1,000s, like it was for Paranormal Activity, and if it was released in theaters, it probably would have made a ton of money. If it could have been shown in theaters. Anyways, what do you want people to comment on?
Like, what do you mean?
Something for people to talk about in the YouTube comments.
I don't know.
I don't know either. What do you think about length of films? There you go. Get that conversation going. Anyways, that's all I think we're gonna try to force out of this conversation. I think we're pretty much wrapped up, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Rate and review, all that stuff. If you're podcasting this, like and subscribe if you're on the YouTubes. Subscribe if you're podcast too. All the good things. Till next time. Toodles.
Bye.